Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about WordPress 5. This is the code named Gutenberg update. And how does this impact WordPress professionals? So let's start it off. Probably Gutenberg is probably the biggest update in years in terms of WordPress. It replaces the basic content editor that comes built into WordPress now, something that's based on something called TinyMCE, which is a JavaScript library, and essentially allows you to add text and images and format your post, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's pretty good, to be totally honest with you. But this new Gutenberg update replaces all that with a brand new editor, which is far more powerful. And it's actually, this new editor, the Gutenberg editor, is actually based on React, which is the JavaScript library that Facebook put out. So why is the WordPress nerds, why is the WordPress community putting out this new transformational content editor? It's basically in response to website builders like Wix and Squarespace and Weebly, and there's others out there, I'm sure. And essentially, the WordPress nerds, they're starting to see some pressure from the site builders like Wix, etc., where you can drag and drop and put things into place, drag videos and themes and so on. So they wanted to take it to that level, whereas the current editor in WordPress, I think it's 4.9.8 at this point in time. I'm recording this in August. It's good, but it's not at that level. It doesn't have that drag and drop capability and so on. Though Wix and Squarespace are pretty powerful in terms of user interface and so forth, it's, in my opinion, it's not nearly as powerful as WordPress because you don't have that plugin architecture and that flexibility and capabilities that you do have with WordPress. WordPress still dominates the small business space. I think 80 to 85% of small businesses operate with WordPress. And I don't think that's going away anytime soon because business owners are not going to want to trash a WordPress-based site that they've built perhaps years ago, and they've invested a lot of time and effort into them. And for them to trash that, to go over to Wix or to go over to Squarespace or any of these web builders, that's not going to happen. Where I think the WordPress community is concerned about is getting new small business owners on to WordPress, because a lot of them are going to Squarespace and Wix. Now, if you're an aspiring web designer or web developer and you're worried about that, I wouldn't be, because even though Wix and Squarespace has quite a bit of capability, it's still extremely limited in terms of what you can do. You have to work within the context of that system, just like any other framework, really. Now, it may work for a lot of businesses, but what you'll see is inevitable. If the business becomes even a little bit successful, they're going to want to add and expand to that, and they're going to hit a wall pretty quickly because any of these editors, though powerful, have a lot of limitations. And in fact, even Wix knows this, where Wix has created an ability for JavaScript programmers to extend the functionality and the capability of Wix using JavaScript. Now, business owners don't know JavaScript, so now you see, I've seen online job postings for Wix professionals, and they're paying pretty good money, $50,000, $60,000 a year, $40,000 a year starting salaries for people to use Wix. So one of the consistent fears that I see in the development community as they hear about this new technology, this new groundbreaking technology that comes out, it promises to replace what you would normally hire a developer or coder to do, or a designer to do. And this has been the case since the last 20 years. You see newer and better technologies come out. And what I have seen is that it doesn't replace the job of a web professional developer. It just changes the role of the web professional or developer. So, case in point, back in the day, to do anything on the web, just to put up a simple website with a contact form, you needed to hire a coder. Somebody who knew basic HTML, maybe a little bit of basic Perl or PHP. And people would pay money for this, small businesses would pay money for this because this was very difficult. Now you don't need coders to do this. They can do it pretty easily with a Wix or a WordPress site or something. But there's all these other things that they don't know how to do. So it's just a shifting in the roles. And in fact, when WordPress came out, a lot of web designers go, oh my, no, WordPress it's gonna kill web design. It didn't. It just created a huge class of professional WordPress professionals who know how to install, and configure, and who know the WordPress ecosystem, so they know what plugins are good, what are bad, what themes are good, what are bad, how to create themes, how to edit themes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it just creates a new type of work, if you will. And I think that this Gutenberg update presents a huge potential boom for WordPress developers, as all those millions and millions of websites that are based on the current WordPress, they may need to upgrade, they may need to have things audited. More on that a little bit later. When I mentioned the whole Wix API, if you will, the ability for people to write JavaScript to extend a Wix website, this is an example of a site builder, Wix being one of the biggest out there, trying to be more like WordPress, trying to allow their users to be able to add functionality. Now, WordPress has had this for years through their plugin architecture. The point is that you have Wix, which is largely, they made it really easy to do drag and drop design with templates that worked in that. Now they've hit that limitation, and now they're coming out with a JS, a JavaScript-based way of extending that. Where on the other side, you have WordPress, which has a tremendous amount of power and flexibility through the plugin architecture, through all the customized themes, and where you can add all kinds of behavior and functionality to the themes. Now they're trying to become more like Wix a little bit with Gutenberg to add the ability to do drag and drop and a better, more rich content editing experience. So you see the technologies are sort of slowly merging. But in either case, professionals, whether it be a WordPress professional or somebody who knows JavaScript and understands the Wix back end, people are still going to need these type of professionals. You got to remember, small business owners, most of them don't want to learn how to code. Most of them don't have the time to code. They may use a Wix or Squarespace when you're first starting out. If you're like a beginning photographer, you got no money, and you just got to put up a few photos, whatever. Use Wix, use Squarespace, or use WordPress. That's what the WordPress people are worried about. But if they actually have any money, they become successful, and they're busy, and they're booking clients, they're going to want more and more capabilities. They don't want to learn how to code. They don't want to learn about the Wix API. They don't want to learn about WordPress and all the plugins and all the capabilities, all the configurations. They won't want to learn it. That's where professionals come in, whether you be a WordPress professional or a Wix professional. Again, one of the basic principles of this channel is the need to nerd principle, the idea that as a developer, once you've done your foundation training, that's why I emphasize foundation training in my courses. You're the only one who does it, by the way, as far as I can tell. Once you have your complete foundation training, then you can go in any direction you want. You can go full-blown app developer, develop your own SaaS, software as a service from scratch. You could go in as a WordPress professional, start making tons of money, freelancing, doing WordPress work for small business owners. You can do Wix, maybe you have a small business, they have their Wix site, and they want to expand upon it, they want to add functionality, they don't know what to do, they don't know anything about coding or installing and configuring. That's where you would come in with your foundational skills in HTML and JavaScript. You can go in there, learn the Wix stuff very quickly, and Bob's your uncle. One thing about the Gutenberg update, apparently it could break older themes and plugins. And that's where a lot of this work could come in, where those got all those sites up there. They're gonna be a little concerned about this, or they may call you in. So if you understand how to fix all this up, that could be your foot into the door with a lot of these small business owners. So yes, the Gutenberg thing, I think it's great. I think it's a great upgrade. I think it allows for a lot of opportunities for people who want to get into that. And as I've been saying in so many of my videos, if you want to go freelance, PHP is king in that. PHP, WordPress, the web stack is the king or the queen of the freelance world in terms of coding and development, no question. Let me finish off this video with a final couple of comments here. So Wix and WordPress are just tools for web professionals. At the end of the day, you can't see them as threats. You have to see them as tools. When the power saw came out, carpenters didn't go, oh no, my business is going to be screwed. Oh no, they're going to use power saws. You know what I mean? It just speeds up the process, allows you to do a lot more with tools like WordPress and Wix and so on, and web frameworks like Laravel for PHP, like Django for Python, like Spring for Java. These frameworks, yes, they simplify a lot of the jobs, a lot of the aspects of a job. They speed up the process, and they eliminate work that you used to have to do. And let me tell you, from a person who comes from a time before good frameworks were out, these frameworks are good. I'm happy not to do that work. Let me give you a classic example. Back in the 1990s, way back in time, I was working on a project for a publicly traded company, and we needed a calendar date picker built into the browser. And at the time, there was no HTML date object, and there was no jQuery date object. So he spent 2 weeks. I remember my coworker, he spent 2 weeks coding the JavaScript HTML-based date picker for the web app that we were building. It was Java-based, and trust me, you don't want to be spending 2 weeks building date pickers for web apps and websites. That's just lame work. Gutenberg will come out very soon. Apparently it could be next month, a few months, who knows. It's still in beta. You can actually download the Gutenberg plugin and install it in WordPress to see how it goes. Now, don't ever install beta software on a live website. Set up a local copy of WordPress and install the Gutenberg if it's interesting to you, and check it out, see how the editor works. I think it would be worthwhile, especially if you want to get into freelancing. It's a great way to become that person, that freelancer who's able to help small business owners bring their WordPress site up into WordPress 5. WordPress 5 will come with Gutenberg, and if you know your way around that, there's a lot of potential there. That being said, Gutenberg is React-based. React is a JavaScript library, as I mentioned earlier, but the core of WordPress, just in case it's unclear, it's still PHP-based. And as I predicted many, many years ago, WordPress professionals are strong, lots of work for these people, and PHP, of course, is the backbone of WordPress, Joomla, and so many other products. It ain't going away. As I said in a recent video, where I predicted many years ago that PHP was going to be strong, years in advance, and I thought Ruby would fall apart. I'm tooting my own horn here. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I was right? Ruby, there's still Ruby projects out there, but PHP is still in the top 4, top 5 languages. Okay, sometimes in the top 6, 7, whereas Ruby has disappeared from that. And again, when you look at technologies, you have to consider all kinds of other things beyond just the technical merits of the language. Yes, Ruby, since I brought it up, Ruby has a lot of interesting capabilities in the language, but it had some major deficits that really applied more to business than anything else. But I've talked about this in other videos. So there you go. I think that's it. That covers everything. I'll leave you with this. When you're looking at any technology, whether it be Java, C#, WordPress, PHP, Python, Django, whatever, you have to try to get out of the fanboy mentality. You have to try to look at it from a practical, pragmatic point of view, from a money-centric point of view, in terms of where are the job opportunities, where are the business advantages of a particular technology. When does it make sense to do X, Y, or Z? Developing that ability to discern that is going to make you an even better freelancer, by the way, because one of the jobs of the freelancer is to suggest and steer your clients into technology stacks that make sense given their particular business. Anyway, that is a whole different story, and we'll leave it at that because I'm getting pretty hungry here. I got to eat. All right, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.